Hi, today I'm going to talk to you about the Google Maps Playbook for electricians. So, this is part of our accelerated growth model, which we teach and we try to do for our customers. And it's really a three-stage process where first you try to drive leads through various methods, and then you maximize the conversion of those leads. And then when you have, leads and you have some results, you optimize those results. So what worked well? What could we do better? And then you use that information to go back to your original model and drive more leads in the areas that are most profitable for you. And so, iterating on that process is the best way to accelerate the growth of your company. And there's lots of different pieces to it. And today we're going to focus in on driving leads organically. And in this case, we're talking about the maps. This is all part of our digital dominance method updated for 2025, where now we include AI, which, if you haven't heard about it yet, you certainly will. It's already taken hold in many different places. And certainly in the last year, it's been a game changer. And in 2025, it will be so in even many more ways. And so we'll talk about that a lot this year as things develop and then just things that we're already doing. So, what we'll cover today is the latest updates with the Google Maps listings, the biggest issues that could be preventing you from ranking, our proven model for ranking in the what we call the three pack, and then some of the best tools that can systematize and automate some of the heavy lifting here. Okay, so how'd you listen to me? I wrote the book Online Marketing for Electricians. We worked with a bunch of different companies, and I run Electrician Marketers, which we do marketing for electricians. And we've been doing this a long time. I've owned a marketing agency since 2011. So we've seen, the rise of the modern internet and the many ways that Google and related things have changed over the last, 10 plus years. So and we have a lot of experience and we bring that to bear in the products and solutions that we offer to our customers. And we have plenty of testimonials and reviews and things like that. I won't go through those here. I just want to get right into content. So the question is, do Google Maps matter? And if you look at, there's lots of different studies of this. This is one of them. Um, for local related queries, in this case, electrician near me, 44%, and I think that's a low estimate, of the clicks and calls are coming from the Maps 3 pack. It really is for a local business the prime real estate that you must compete for to grow your business. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. And so the answer is yes. Google Maps matter, and they matter a whole lot. Okay, and they're important because if you think about searcher behavior and certainly your own behavior when you search for things, chances are if you're looking for a contractor, you know, some people, especially younger people, might go on Facebook and ask in Facebook, hey, does anybody know a contractor? They may do that, uh, but most people will just do a Google query, and increasingly now queries in things like Chat GPT search, which is going to take market share from Google, and you're going to have to start optimizing for that as well. However they do the search, they're going to search for through a tool that's going to show them the best options near to them. And that's what Google Maps does. Okay. And your position in maps, varies by your location. And this is a big part of why it works and why it's also so difficult. And so, you only have so much range at a given location, and you want to maximize your results within that range. Because one of the strongest factors, we'll talk a little bit about this later, is just proximity. And so your ability to rank in maps just falls off with distance, and there's very little you can do about it. There's some things. I mean, you can ring as much as you can out of a particular listing, but it's only ever going to get you so far. But you want to maximize your impact because there's a huge volume of leads available in those maps. And, you know, it just, we see it time and time again. I don't think I have the stats in this one, but I think I showed them in last month's webinar. I would say on average, somewhere between 30 to 40% of leads for our customers come from the maps in comparison to, say, 30% from Google Ads, and 20-ish% from organic SEO and other things. So maps typically are the number one source of leads. And so this is kind of the number one priority that you always want to focus on. And so that's what we do. And so, yes, it drives calls, as we were just talking about. And so the biggest changes, th- this is what we had in here last year. It's still a big enough change that I'm keeping the slide in here. Um, but I think this will be a much bigger change next year. So in the last year, they've really minimized results to three. And it doesn't mean that there's only three results. It means that map pack is only three results. And if you want to see more, you have to click more results. And so all that does is increases the value of ranking in those three spots, because most people don't click into more results. Generally, they don't. Sometimes they will. There's not no value in showing up in the top 20, but you really need to drive as close to the top three as you can. We're also seeing much more paid results in there, especially in the more results, but they will even show them, they'll show four results with one of them being an ad, for example, increasingly. And you also have to compete with Google Guarantee or the Google Home Services or the Google Local, whatever you want to call it. There's lots of names for it. But those show up even above the maps. Okay, we'll talk a little bit about that too. What you're going to see this year is increasing competition from AI. And all AI is doing is basically, what Google is, it's an index of web pages. Okay. And so what Google does is it takes your query and it looks through its index of web pages and says, here's what I think you're looking for. Okay, and AI is really doing the same thing. It's a large language model which is trained on the internet data. It's only so current. And then from that basically same internet index that they're all trained on, it says, "Oh, you've asked me this question. Well, here's what I think is an answer to your question." So it's a really more advanced form of what Google already does. Um, so you'll see things change. You are already seeing it in your Google searches. You'll see like AI summaries, right? Well, that's going to increasingly show up more in maps, and they're actively working on AI curation of results in maps and things like that. So just watch the maps results this year. They're going to change as they always do, and you're going to see more AI features and functionality within the maps. So when I come here and do this next year, I'm sure I'll be telling you all about those changes. But for now, I'm saying just watch for them. They're coming this year. Um, and so again, the old Google results, many more maps results. The new Google results still pretty consistently look like this with the Google guarantee on top and the maps results. I don't think this will change all that much. It'll be interesting to see what Google does with AI, because these local leads and these ads, and even the ads in the maps, are their revenue drivers. So unless they're going to put ads in AI, which they probably will, and all, ChatGPT will do it too. They'll all do it. They'll all put ads in there. It's just a matter of time. Um, you're still dealing with this ecosystem, and you just basically have to rank in all these things. You've got to show up in the local leads, you've got to show up in the ads, you've got to show up in the maps, and that's the name of the game. And these are the local service ads. And it's not the focus today, but it's just something to be aware of as you're thinking about your maps. Okay, so again, we're not going to talk about all these things, but getting and showing up well in maps is the number one thing. But just as a service to the listener, if you're not in local services, get in there. Get Google guaranteed. Take that real estate too. Okay, you can do it as an electrician. Get in there. All right. So the message is own the search results, right? So we haven't talked about organic. We're not going to talk about things like Angie or Yext, but these things are important too. Today's about the maps, but the overall organic message is get in as many spots as you can. Okay. So one thing to note is it is getting harder. I mean, I just before I started recording this, I had a customer who was suspended from Maps for no reason. Google is very picky about this now, which is a good thing. Except they haven't done as great a job of eliminating spam as they like to claim. In some industries, it's still very bad. What they're doing is they're overcorrecting and they're punishing legitimate businesses, making it very difficult for them to be in Maps. So while they have reduced fake map listings, they've also made it a pain in the rear for everybody else. And they won't ever explain themselves to you. This is why I hope ChatGPT and Bing and all these. I hope they just kill Google. I hope the Department of Justice tears them apart. I'm not a big government intervention guy, but Google is just such a scummy, awful company that everyone would be better served if they were just destroyed. They're horrible. And just as an example, we one of the things that my SEO team deals with constantly is getting Google Business Profiles verified or combating suspensions. And the reason is always the same. It's deceptive content. Well, what the heck is that? They don't explain it well. And when you ask them, they won't tell you. And it really could be something as simple as you forgot, if your business is, Electrician Company LLC, leaving out the LLC. Or not showing your address. It's they just won't tell you. So, and there's no phone number you can call. They'll some contractor will answer your ticket maybe eventually. It's awful. So, you know, and I don't say this to discourage you. I say this to prepare you because if you haven't set up your Google Business Profile yet, do so soon because they seem to be very committed to making the process difficult and impossible. And so, sure, they've reduced fake map listings, but they've also made real listings very difficult to keep up with. So, what could be hurting your rankings on maps? Um, there, there's really a couple. I mean, spamming will kill you, obviously, but there's really two strong factors that you want to consider, and they're strong enough that my recommendations on this have shifted a lot over time. I would say, as my camera gets angry, um, all things being equal, you want a physical location, even if it's just a sales office with one desk that you sit in, or you don't. For example, I generally work from my home office, but I have an office simply so that my normal, my day to day generalist marketing agency ranks and maps, and we get calls from people, companies near us. I like working with local people too, not just people all over the place. And I have an office just for that purpose. Is so that because I know with a physical location, one, it's easier to get verified by far. Two, you are going to get better reach in maps. There's no doubts about it. You can do okay as a service area business, but proximity is such a strong factor that um, it almost always makes sense to have a physical location. Okay, number one. Number two, get as many reviews as you possibly can. That's it. There's all kind of things that we can do, and we have a whole process that we do to help. But if you don't have an address, and more importantly, even than that, if you're not just getting reviews, it severely inhibits our abilities to help you. And so, if you do those things, we can turn your maps completely green. If you're not doing those things, it's can be a struggle. And so, however you do it, get reviews. And we'll talk, I think, a little bit about that, but it's not the focus today. So, what is it that you do to get ranked in that three pack? Well, we just talked about it. Number one is reviews. Okay. The other two parts of that, you know, are having local content on your site, which we'll briefly talk about, and citations, which are local links. Those are still impactful, although not in the same way that they used to be. It really all goes to trust signals. So, you want to have a brand That's probably the most important thing to Google now. And so the things that you can do to establish that you're a real brand, that you're real people, putting pictures of yourself on there, publishing content, getting reviews, having these local links to your site and also to your Google business profile. These things make a big difference towards your rankings and maps. So to get local links, and I distinguish between local links and citations. Citations are things like Yelp, like business directories, anywhere you can put a name, address, phone, that's a citation. Local links are things that are really more relevant to your local area. Google's smart enough to know this now. And so it's things like local sponsorships, like the Little League team. Uh, you know, your Chamber of Commerce is probably the easiest one. Um, you know, you could do scholarships, although there's been some spam around those. You want to be careful with those. Doing local television, that gives you a link back, also gives you a nice video for a commercial. But all the things like that. Think of anything you can do to get some, you know, established websites in your area to link to your site. That will help you organically, but it will also help you a lot in your maps rankings because it shows you are an authoritative, real company in a local area. Um, so, and foundational to all of that is claiming and optimizing your Google Business Profile listing. Um, you want to be as thorough and as accurate as possible. So, you know, everything on there needs to match your business documents. They're asking for this stuff all the time now. It is so annoying. They'll ask for your license. Our customers are like, I don't even have a license. Our state doesn't require it. Now, electricians generally do, but we work in multiple industries. And so, Google doesn't know the requirements, but they'll ask you for what their requirements are. They're like, well, give us a license. But if you don't have a license, what are you supposed to give them? It's absolutely it's lunacy. So make this easy for yourself. Be as uh, close to your documents as you can. Now, for example, if you're doing business as, right? So say you've got like, you started your business, you create an LLC, it's got some name, but it's not what you do business as. Make sure you register the DBA with the state. So you have documentation of that DBA with the state. Because what will happen is if you just put your DBA on your Google business profile, and then they say, hey, you got to verify, send us your documents, and your documents don't match, your actual business documents have a different name, they're going to suspend you. They're not going to allow you through. So you got to have all this goofy stuff, right? Just be thorough, be accurate. That's what you got to do. You want to optimize all the information, include your opening hours. Opening hours matter, and you have to be accurate because they'll check this sometimes. But Google will use your open hours to show you in the maps. So if you're closed, if your hours say you're closed, your if someone searches for you when you're closed, you won't show up as well in maps. We've documented this many times, and this is not really well known out there that I know of. So if you say you're closed and someone's searching for electrician near me, and your hours are that you're closed, you're going to not really be very visible in the maps. So you want to do everything you can to be open 24 hours. Now, granted, if you don't offer emergency services, well, not a lot you can do. Although, I will say, we now have, there's things like, for example, answering services, right? If you have an answering service, you have someone answering your phone. Well, if someone's answering the phone 24 hours, you can put that you're open 24 hours. And we use an AI answering service, which is we have a phone number. If you call our main phone numbers, you can try it. It'll be answered by an AI receptionist. And so we can put that we're open 24 hours because someone or something is answering the phone 24 hours per day. And so we don't get the hours ding in our maps because we're open 24/7. Something to consider. Again, get Google verified. That's distinct from the advanced verification for the local leads, but you go through the verification process if they ask you, which they will. Add photos, and really I would say outside of reviews, so being accurate, getting reviews, getting citations, having local content on your website, all those things, do all those things, but also be active. Post content, post pictures, post jobs, ideally from the job location. Take a picture if install a new circuit breaker, take a picture of it, you know, post that to your Google Business profile. These things establish a pattern of activity in an area, which Google does look at for showing you in maps. So adding photos and things like that, it all helps a ton. And then once you've done all these things, just keep an eye on your performance. See how you're doing. Is it improving over time? How many calls are you getting? It's useful to keep an eye on that, and it also shows you that your strategy is working, which is a nice thing to see. And always respond to reviews. That is a ranking signal. It's kind of a strange one, um, but if you don't respond to reviews, you get dinged. We talked about building citations. The one thing I'll say here is just make sure they're consistent. So if you change your address, for example, if you go to a new location, you have to go and update all those old citations. It's super annoying, but it does make a difference. And so for this purpose, pay attention to things like aggregators. There are many ways of doing this, but places like Newstar, for example, will take your information and push it out to a bunch of different directories at once. It's a much cleaner and simpler way to handle this. And there's lots of tools for this. Sprite Local is one that we use. There's also Moz Local, White Spark. There's for everything. There's lots and lots of tools available. Um, we won't get too much into the citations here. Again, I talked about lots of real reviews. Just trying to hit the main points here. I don't want to ramble on and go too long with this. But like I said, leave reviews, and I'll say this about reviews. There are so many tools out there now. Everybody's kind of used to being asked for reviews constantly. The one thing that people aren't doing as much, that is by far the most effective strategy, is getting on the phone and asking. So having someone on your staff after you do a job, just follow up, call the person, say, hey, just wanted to check in with you. How'd the job go? Did everything work out? Everything's still working great? Are you satisfied? Great. Do you mind? Can I ask you that if you would leave us a Google review, I'd send you a link. If you could do that, it really helps our business. So calling and asking is a secret weapon for getting reviews, and very few people do it, but it has the highest conversion rate among all the methods. There's no tool for that one yet. It's just picking up the phone. Okay. Uh, and so how do they help? They they help in two ways. They help in that you get better rankings in the maps, and you may get better rankings because you get a higher click-through rate. So it's kind of like a chicken and the egg thing in the sense that people tend to click on and engage with the um, listings that have the most reviews, and click-through rate is a known ranking factor. And so the more reviews you have, the more click-throughs you get, the better you rank in maps, the wider you rank in maps. So that's why it's so important, is because if you think about your own shopping behavior, you're more likely to click on the company closest to you with the most and best reviews. And so you want your business to be the one with the most and best reviews in your area. You're going to get the most clicks and calls. It's just the way it works. Okay. The last thing I'll cover here is any other special local SEO ranking factors. Again, proximity. We didn't get into it here, but more advanced methods are, opening multiple locations. So if you're serving an entire city, open multiple sales offices with real addresses. Yes, it costs you a couple hundred. If they're small, they don't have to be massive. There can be a 500,000 square foot office. You can get that for $1,000 a month, depending where you are, of course. Um, but if you spin up these offices and you spin up these Google Business Profile locations, you should see a positive ROI from that. And so when you think about your service area, you want to think about how you can blanket your service area and locations and assume that the average location is going to get you about 15 miles of coverage. It varies by industry, it varies by the density of the city. It's not the same in New York, for example, as it might be in rural Ohio, but you can kind of investigate these things and understand the reach, and then make sure that your service area is covered by enough locations to get you visible throughout your service area. That's the best way to do it. Okay, that's if you want your advanced maps trick, that's it. Relevance. So this is where your website comes in. This is where having local content, writing about landmarks, writing about local events potentially, having your website full of content relevant to your area tells Google that your business is relevant to the area. And then your prominence, which is what is your authority? Um, do you have brand mentions? Are you on local TV? Are you in the local chamber of commerce? All these sorts of things go towards your prominence, which helps you rank better in the maps. Okay, so that's all I want to say about maps today. If you'd like to talk more about this, we're happy to put together a custom report for you. We'll show you how you're doing in the maps versus your competitors and talk to you about things that we see that you can do better and ways that we might be able to partner with you to help you do that, if that'd be something that you're interested in. You can go to our website if you'd like to check your own Google Maps rankings. It'll give you a little report that will show you. And of course, if you'd like to schedule your call, just go to electricianmarketingagency.com/apply-now or give us a call, and we'd be happy to talk to you. Thanks for watching, and I look forward to talking to you next time.